Hey book lovers! Today I'm going to tell you about a book that will absolutely mess with your head, break your heart, and make you question everything you thought you knew about beauty standards and identity. But before I reveal what it is, let me tell you a story. It's post-emancipation America, and there's this little 11-year-old girl who has what might be the most heartbreaking wish in literary history. She's not wishing for a pony, or for her parents to stop fighting, or even for world peace. No, this little girl is on her knees every single night, praying to God with all the fervor of a televangelist, asking for just one thing: blue eyes. Now you might be thinking, well, that's oddly specific, and you'd be absolutely right. But here's where it gets really tragic. When she thinks her prayers have been answered, she doesn't just want blue eyes anymore. Oh no, she wants the bluest eyes. Like, she's out here trying to win the Blue Eye Olympics. And honestly, the competition is pretty steep considering she's basically competing with her own imagination. But let me back up and introduce you to our cast of characters. Because honey, this family makes reality TV look like a peaceful meditation retreat. First, we have the Breedloves. And let me tell you, the irony of that last name hits harder than a Mike Tyson punch. These folks breed anything but love. We're talking about a family so dysfunctional that family therapy would need therapy after meeting them. They engage in physical fights like other families engage in board game nights. Picture the most chaotic Thanksgiving dinner you've ever experienced. Multiply it by 10, and that's just a Tuesday in the Breedlove household.
Buckle up, baby! Are you kidding me?
Our main character is Pecola Breedlove, the little girl with the blue eye obsession. Now, Pecola has been dealt a hand so bad that even a poker player would fold immediately. She's been labeled ugly by society, and I'm putting that in the biggest air quotes possible because we're talking about a child here. But this isn't just playground teasing. This is a systematic, soul-crushing kind of rejection where she literally has no one to play with. Imagine being so isolated that even imaginary friends would ghost you.
Wow, that's rough. I'm sorry.
Then we have her mother, Pauline. Now, Pauline has her own tragic backstory that reads like a country song gone horribly wrong. She suffered as a young girl with a shriveled foot, making her somewhat of an outcast herself. It's like she passed down a generational trauma starter pack to her daughter, complete with self-hatred and a side of deep-rooted insecurities. And then there's Cholly, Pecola's father. And oh boy, where do I even begin with this man? His origin story is so disturbing it makes Batman's look like a Disney movie. First, his father abandoned him when he got his mother pregnant, classic deadbeat dad move. But wait, it gets worse. As a young boy, he was caught with a young girl by a group of white boys who, in a display of absolute evil, forced him to continue while they laughed and watched. This is where his hatred of himself and women began. And honestly, if that were the end of his trauma, it would already be too much. But life wasn't done with Cholly yet. He eventually goes searching for his father, because apparently, he's a glutton for punishment. And when he finds him, dear old dad rejects him so harshly and with such complete disregard that young Cholly literally defecates on himself from the shock and humiliation. And you thought your daddy issues were bad.
Holy shit!
Now, all of this family trauma is being narrated to us by Claudia McTeer, who tells the story both as a child experiencing it and as an adult looking back. It's like having a time-traveling narrator who can give you both the innocent perspective and the hard-won wisdom of experience. The narrative switches between Claudia's first-person account and an omniscient narrator, creating this layered storytelling technique that's both intimate and expansive.
Wow, what a rush!
But wait, there's more. Enter Soaphead Church. And yes, that's actually his name, though his real name is Elihu Micah Whitcomb. This character is so bizarre he makes the Mad Hatter look mentally stable. Soaphead comes from what he considers an aristocratic background, but he's basically descended into complete lunacy. He's operating as a trickster, a fortune teller, and brace yourselves, a pedophile. He's like if a carnival fortune teller, a con artist, and your worst nightmare had a baby.
Bam!
And here's the kicker. It's Soaphead Church who grants Pecola's wish for blue eyes. Now, I'm putting grants in air quotes because what actually happens is that he tricks this vulnerable, traumatized child into believing she has blue eyes, which sends her spiraling into complete insanity. It's like if a genie granted your wish, but the wish was actually a psychological torture device. Speaking of psychological torture, let's talk about what happens to poor Pecola. In what might be one of the most horrific plot points in literature, she's raped and impregnated by her own father, Cholly. And if you think society's reaction was supportive and protective of this child victim, you clearly haven't been paying attention to how the world works. Instead of rallying around her, the community reacts in ways that push her further into isolation and madness. Her friends reject her, and she becomes even more of an outcast than before. The whole situation creates this perfect storm of trauma, isolation, and mental breakdown. Pecola becomes so detached from reality that she believes she actually has the bluest eyes in the world, and she spends her time talking to an imaginary friend about how blue her eyes are. It's heartbreaking because what started as a child's innocent wish for beauty becomes a complete break from reality.
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
Now, the story I've just told you isn't some made-up tale or urban legend. This is the plot of The Bluest Eye, published in 1970 by Plume, and it's the debut novel by one of the most important voices in American literature, Toni Morrison. This book, all 216 pages of it, is absolutely devastating and brilliant in equal measure. Morrison doesn't just tell a story. She performs surgery on the American psyche and shows us all the infected parts we'd rather ignore. What struck me most about this novel is how Morrison uses Pecola's story to examine the broader social dynamics that create and perpetuate these tragedies. This isn't just about one girl's mental breakdown. It's about how society systematically destroys people through impossible beauty standards, racial self-hatred, and the complete failure of community support systems. The way Morrison explores the role of men in Black families is particularly powerful. Cholly isn't just a monster, though his actions are monstrous. He's also a victim of a system that systematically emasculated and dehumanized Black men. Morrison shows us how trauma gets passed down through generations like a toxic family heirloom that nobody wants but everyone inherits. The community's reaction to Pecola's tragedy is equally telling. Instead of protecting this child, they turn her into a scapegoat, someone they can point to and say, "At least we're not that bad." Morrison exposes how communities sometimes sacrifice their most vulnerable members to maintain their own sense of superiority and normalcy. But what really gets me is how relevant this book remains today. Morrison asks us why we can't like what we have or who we are, and honestly, that question hits different in our current age of Instagram filters and cosmetic surgery. The author points out that if Pecola lived today, she might have sought salvation in colored contact lenses, cosmetic surgery, skin lightening creams, and hair treatments. Sound familiar? We're living in an era where people spend fortunes trying to change everything about themselves. Morrison references how Black people, on average, spend more money on beauty products than white people, all in an attempt to conform to European beauty standards. This observation from 1970 feels painfully current when you consider the billion-dollar beauty industry that profits off our insecurities. The inferiority complex that Morrison explores in this novel would become a recurring theme throughout her work. She had this incredible ability to dig into the psychological wounds that racism and societal rejection create, and then show us how those wounds fester and spread across generations. Let's talk about Toni Morrison herself, because this woman was an absolute literary titan. The Bluest Eye was just the beginning of a career that would reshape American literature. Morrison didn't just write books. She wrote truth-telling missiles that exploded comfortable assumptions about race, gender, and American society. What I love about Morrison's approach is that she never simplified complex issues. She understood that people could be both victims and perpetrators, that communities could be both nurturing and destructive, and that love and violence could exist in the same household. Her characters are fully human, which means they're capable of both great tenderness and terrible cruelty. Morrison went on to write masterpieces like Song of Solomon Beloved and Jazz, each one cementing her reputation as one of America's greatest writers. She became the first Black woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1993, and honestly, it was about time the world recognized what Black readers had known for decades. What makes Morrison special is her unflinching commitment to telling stories that other people were afraid to tell. She wrote about the experiences of Black women and children with a complexity and depth that had been largely absent from American literature. She didn't write to make white people comfortable or to provide easy answers to complicated questions.
I am truly impressed.
If you haven't read The Bluest Eye, you absolutely need to add it to your reading list. But I'm going to be real with you. This is not a feel-good beach read. This book will hurt you in the best possible way. It will make you angry, it will break your heart, and it will force you to confront some uncomfortable truths about beauty standards, racism, and how society treats its most vulnerable members. Morrison's writing is absolutely gorgeous, even when she's describing the most horrible situations. She has this ability to create beauty out of pain, to find poetry in trauma, and to make you care deeply about characters who exist in circumstances you might never face. The themes in this book, identity, acceptance, the psychological damage of racism, the failure of community support systems. These aren't just historical issues. They're happening right now, today, in different forms, but with the same devastating effects. This novel deserves your time, deserves your attention, and deserves your emotional investment. It's the kind of book that changes you, that makes you see the world differently, and that stays with you long after you've closed the back cover. Morrison once said that she wrote the books she wanted to read, and thank goodness she did, because she gave us stories that we didn't even know we needed. The Bluest Eye is essential reading, not just for understanding American literature, but for understanding America itself. So go read it. Your heart might hurt afterwards, but your mind will be expanded, and that's exactly what great literature is supposed to do. That's it for today's review. If you enjoyed this deep dive into The Bluest Eye, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more book reviews, and let me know in the comments what Morrison novel I should tackle next. Trust me, with Morrison, there are no wrong choices. Everything she wrote is absolutely brilliant. Until next time, keep reading, keep thinking, and keep questioning the world around you. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.